There's a current Twitter discourse about physically disabled people in fantasy. Yeah, I saw it. Of course there are going to be physically disabled people in some fantasy, and in some there wouldn't be. Even in D&D, where you have, you can heal people, and you can also cast, like, restoration or whatever, that wouldn't fix a birth defect or whatever, like if you were born with the inability to walk. The magic in D&D that would allow you to fix something like that would probably be more along the lines of, not restoration. What's the one that allows you to regrow lost limbs? Or wish? Regeneration, yeah. Maybe regeneration, maybe not even. I don't even think that. I think you might need a wish. The magic just doesn't exist to, like, fully shape bodies like that, at least not inherently. Oh yeah, no, most people wouldn't have access to that at all. The average fucking peasant in a D&D, you know, in the Forgotten Realms would absolutely not have access to anything like that. Of course there are disabled people. Not this way, then.
Be tough on systems, easy on people. That being said, Elon Musk is an inbred freak that I hope buys TikTok so he ruins another social media, inshallah.
True. You can change species with some spells. In D&D? Well, you can do illusion magic or shape-shifting magic, but it doesn't innately alter your body. Reincarnation does? Yeah, but that's not changing your body. That's reincarnation. You won't even... Well, wait, what are the rules for reincarnation? It's a weird one. You touch a dead humanoid or a piece of a dead humanoid. Provided the creature has been dead for no longer than 10 days, the spell forms a new adult body for it, then calls the soul to enter that body. If the target's soul isn't free or willing to do so, the spell fails. The magic fashions a new body for the creature to inhabit, which likely causes the creature's race to change. The DM rolls a D100 and consults the following table to determine what form the creature takes when restored to life, or the DM chooses a form. I really don't like this spell, guys. I think this is a really, really, really dumb spell, frankly. Like, really, really stupid. For one, there's a lot of, like, lore-unfriendly presumptuousness with regards to the creatures you can turn into. There are a lot of creatures in D&D that have souls, you know, that aren't fey creatures or undead or whatever. So for it to just be dragonborn, dwarf, elf, gnome, half-elf, halfling, human, tiefling, that's it? Orc? Like, it's kind of racist. Not, like, unironically. Also, it's a, it's like, why? Why would that be the case? Is there any canon here for why, like, what god, why would Mistra allow for this? Or, like, what god is enabling this, you know? These the PHP races, it was PHP, but that's not, that doesn't challenge what I'm saying here. The idea here is that, who can access this? Just Druid. Okay, the idea here is that there's magic from the Feywild, or from a god that represents some element of nature, and for some... First of all, this isn't reincarnating, really, okay? You're not reincarnating in the karmic cycle, you're being resurrected into a new body. That's different. You're not being reborn as, like, an infant or whatever. And also, why... I don't know. Whatever. It's a holdover from earlier editions. I don't like it. Wish is how you'd fix it, most likely. Yeah, but, like, how often do you think Wish gets cast canonically in the D&D universe, you know? Miracle would probably work. That's true. Yeah, you know, maybe. I can't imagine that to a god, curing somebody being paraplegic would be that big of a deal. Yeah, little Odin, but that just doesn't make sense. It's not really reincarnation. You're just getting a new body. It doesn't make sense in the it's a holdover. I don't... Devils aren't a race, they're literally devils. Devils aren't a biological race in the same way that the creatures on the material plane are. Like, they don't have souls the way that creatures on the material plane do. A soul is just like a like element of a living thing that it gets caught up in greater cycles that gods play in. You know, it's like having a soul means that there's something for the gods to play around with after you die. You get sent to the astral plane or whatever else. But there are creatures without a soul. For example, the Illithid don't have souls, which is indicated pretty heavily in Baldur's Gate. Do you need to have a soul to be in a race? No, not necessarily, because, you know, there are circumstances where you can play as an unsouled race. It just means, like, if you're playing as a race without a soul, in some circumstances you can't be resurrected either. Like, I don't think an Illithid can be resurrected. When you resurrect a character in D&D, you are pulling a soul from the astral plane and returning it to a body that you are physically reconstituting. But, the elves didn't originally have soul? Yes, because they're from the Feywild. The Feywild creatures don't have souls. Same reason why goblins don't. Because they're creatures originally of the Feywild. As for devils, when devils are killed on any other plane of existence, they just immediately warp back to the hells. If they're killed in the hells, they're gone forever. Can D&D creatures without souls be morally good? Yeah, yeah. Having a soul in D&D is not an indication of whether or not you're capable of being good. It's not like a moral question. Having a soul is literally just a component of a form, you know? Devils do have souls. Well, they have something, right? But they don't have what, like, a human would have. I don't think it gets called a soul. They have some, you know, fundamental essence that allows them to persist. Are there mechanisms for soulless beings to acquire one? I don't think so. Guys, am I not wrong? Isn't a soul is literally like your race was created or shaped by a god, and there are processes the gods are a part of, and if you're a souled race, that just means you're a part of those processes. You know what I mean? You're wrong, sorry, that isn't how it works. Well, feel free to correct me. We're talking about lore, nuts. I think soulless beings are all like automatons and zombies because the soul is you. Well, no, I mean, yeah, they are soulless, but we're talking about something specific here. Living creatures without souls had spirit. Okay, hold on. D&D, which races have souls? In first edition D&D, humans, dwarves, gnomes, halflings, and half-elves had souls. Elves, orcs, and half-orcs had spirits. Those with souls could be resurrected, the others could not. That's because orcs and elves aren't, like, regular material plane creatures. So when they die, like, think of a spell as a specific mechanism that allows you to take a specific item, a soul, and move it from one place to another. You're doing, like, interplanar teleportation magic. You're taking something that humans or whatever else need to exist that has been moved to the astral plane, and you are using magic to identify which soul of the infinite trillions that are out there is the one you're trying to find, and binding it back to a body that it originally belonged to, you know? That's what the soul means. In terms of D&D...
Can we go back to talking about foot fetishes and squirting?
Nobody likes everything. What creatures have a soul in D&D? Completely up to your DM, really. Okay, whatever. I don't know why the fuck I'm arguing for something that is obviously going to be up to the DM. Anyway, the point that I was making here was not that having a soul made you better. A soul is just a specific kind of life essence, right? Like, it doesn't mean that creatures from the Feywild or from the Hells or from the Abyss don't have a life essence and aren't worth anything. It just means that that's not the type of creature they are. It's just that, colloquially, we use the term soul to mean not just, like, an element of existence, but something fundamental and specific. Anyway, the reason why I find it fun to talk and think about personally is because in the previous campaign that unfortunately ended before it was finished, the players were all level 20 at that point after years and years of playing, and the next, like, big story arc that they were going to get into was the realization that the concept of enduring souls in the astral plane is completely fake. In reality, the first beings in the material plane were insanely strong because they could learn and grow in ways that gods necessarily couldn't. And for that reason, the gods agreed that from that point forward, all sculpted mortal races would be A, properly mortal, as in not just they could die, but they have a finite lifespan, and B, whenever they died, their souls would get chopped up in the astral plane, grafted, mixed around, so that they don't get to keep their experiences and memories from one life to the other. And that for basically infinite time since doing that, the mortal races have been kept artificially weak because the gods have been chopping their soul up in the hereafter. And the plot arc of that arc of the campaign would have been the player characters going to the basin, which was like a giant caldera, an ancient land that formed a barrier to keep themselves free of God's touch. And that was the remnant of the original mortal species. Like the last group of them that survived, and have survived up until this point, because they're functionally immortal and very, very strong. Interesting, Akadluna. It's just, I know that having a soul does not directly translate onto being sentient, because illithid, vampires, and intelligent undead all don't have souls. But they clearly think and have feelings, you know? If a mortal becomes a vampire, then, is the idea that their soul, as they become undead, their soul literally leaves their body, but somehow they maintain and persist in spite of it? And if that is the case, what did the soul leaving mean? Like, what did that indicate? You know, that's kind of weird to think about, right? Like, you have, you know, are there examples of things without a soul that aren't intelligent? Well, you, presumably. No. Yeah. And if they get cured of their vampirism, is that by getting their soul back? Yeah, that's a good question. Because you can be cured of vampirism. It's not impossible. I know there's some degree to which that has happened. Ghosts and revenants are stated to still have their soul in them.
Do you use orcs, goblins, and trolls in your D&D campaigns? How do you differentiate between them generally? Always found them all pretty similar.
I don't know how. They all look different and have different cultures and stuff. I mean, they're all considered kind of savage, I guess, in the general Forgotten Realms setting for a variety of reasons. But they're not really the same. Yeah, this is greenskin racism. I don't know. I mean, I like goblins. I think goblins are cool. Bugbear supremacy. See, I don't like bugbears. I don't like the other stuff around the goblins. I just like the goblins, you know? I like the idea of them just having a kind of, I don't know, permanent anarchical party vibe going on. I want to ride a goblin. Well, goblins are like 40 to 50 pounds in D&D, I'm pretty sure. So, I hope you're very light. Like the idea of competitive goblins capture juvenile dinosaur and dinosaurs grow to be way bigger than goblins and getting much by the dinos. Yeah, like they find a baby T-Rex or something, and the T-Rex is like 6 months old, and they're riding it on raids into human villages or something. And they have like increasingly bad ideas to contain and manage the T-Rex as it gets larger and larger. That's a very good bit, you know? And the only thing that would be left after a certain age of the T-Rex would just be a T-Rex and the remnants of a goblin village. See the village? Yeah, it's like hijinks, you know? It's okay for goblins to die, but they have to die in ways that are goofy or at least kind of like charmingly ambitious, right? That's the defining characteristic of goblins, right? They're kind of goofy and cowardly, but they're also very ambitious. So they fight and bicker over petty shit and often have bad ideas, but usually in a kind of slapstick way. Yeah, you could end up having one remaining goblin who was, like, talented enough to actually ride the T-Rex or tame it or something like that. And they would be, like, really smug about it, too, even though all their friends are dead. Because all those friends, they were T-Rex-less. And they have a T-Rex.